of the world's leading architects whose bold, innovative designs have won her legions of admirers and prestigious awards. Christina Seilern's work has been heavily influenced by her travels and ability to immerse herself in different environments and cultures, and the simple belief that every project is driven by its own set of rules and challenges. Well, that philosophy has now taken her to Africa, where she's already made an impressive mark in such countries as Nigeria, Ghana and Zimbabwe. She's also extremely busy, but I'm delighted to say that she's taken time out to join me in the studio. Christina, a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you.
I mean, why Africa? What was it about the continent that drew you there?
I think it was an accident. I was working in a larger practice, and somebody I had studied with asked me to join up on an adventure of doing a project in Africa, and I was looking for a way to set up my own practice, and I thought this was something interesting, and it turned out to actually be an absolute labour of love and a wonderful project. The clients became very close, and we did a very ambitious project in a very remote area. And I just realized that actually the difficulty of executing something in Africa, because a lot of the places don't really have a construction industry or mature construction industry, made us rethink of the way we design things, and that actually our clients were really empowered by the possibilities rather than mired by the difficulty of doing things. And I found that really inspiring. And also the freedom that you have. So
clients give you that freedom. They basically sit down and work with you, and then, OK, we've worked it out, get on with it.
Well, I think there is an element of that, and I think if they are going to go out of their way to find an architect, they already have this willingness or this wish to do something extraordinary. And I think that in order to really be able to do an extraordinary project, you need an extraordinary client. So it's not, you know, you need a very, very good partnership there. And I thought that was really something that I hadn't been exposed to. I mean, you know, a lot of the times when you do large projects here or in Europe, or you tend to have a big table and you have 20 project managers, and you sort of have all sorts of consultants, and there is a sort of endless discussions of why things can or cannot be made, and you've got planning, etc. And there was this sense of freedom and how are we actually going to do the thing that we want to do, and how we're going to procure the materials. And so there was a different way of doing it, and a lot of the designs that we were doing had to actually adapt to the place where we were doing it.
Now, hopefully we will get some stills of your work, because the projects are absolutely amazing. But one of the themes that runs through all of them, in fact, I mean, looking here, for example, you've actually used the natural environment, the lush of the green, and that rock formation. I mean, that in itself, I can see why it was a challenge. I mean, take us through it. What is this? Where is it? And the idea, how did you come to that, reach that point?
Well, this is it's a private house in a very remote place in East Africa.
Wow.
You know, that we had to build a road to the site. I mean, there literally was nothing there. There was this unbelievable rock with a 50-meter cliff, and we sited the house on it. We did as little excavation as we could, and we really sort of tried to touch the site lightly and frame the views. One of the things in Africa is you have an absolutely vertical sun, so half of the battle is to how to deal with the sun, and we wanted to have glass, and we wanted to really have it as connected to the outside. So you have now this notion of very large cantilevered roofs, and we wanted to make them feel as if they're floating in light, so we tried to make them appear structureless. So there are all these games that we were playing with nature and really reacting to the site.
And it's interesting, though, because when I look at these pictures, we've got another shot coming up, in fact. The thing is, it looks very spiritual, the way that everything blends in with nature, this sense that you're somehow really connected to what the earth is all about. It probably does sound a little bit pretentious, I don't mean it to, but
no.
It is phenomenal how you've just used everything, that nothing is a hindrance.
Well, I think it's, you know, you do adapt. It's a little bit sort of the anti-global approach. You don't have a formula that will work everywhere, and every project is essentially a new massive research for us in trying to understand. So the project you just saw there was in Abuja, and we were trying to find a very flexible way of creating a master plan that could be adaptable, either offices and residential, and we came up with this building type that could be either or, because there was no mature market. We didn't know whether we should be building residential or offices or what the market demanded in 10 years. So we sort of created it's something very flexible, and it's always trying to understand what issues are we dealing with, and how do we respond to them, and how do we come up with an intelligent idea that maybe is beyond what the client originally expected. So.
Because what is so fascinating as well is that when you look at some of these buildings that you've constructed, if you didn't know where they were, you would assume that they were in the United States, in California, or some part of Europe. But I mean, again, these are just phenomenal. I mean, this is Banana Island, right? Take us through this.
Well, this was a scheme we did on Banana Island, and it was an office building. And again, the notion of how do you deal with the sun. So we took the structure to the outside and created this sort of very whimsical exoskeleton, which is a skin, which also creates a shading to the offices. And then we created a very large reception area. And I, maybe subconsciously, because it was Banana Island, I coloured it yellow. In retrospect, it wasn't a conscious thing, but it became something where what we were trying to do is, an office building is a serious office building. How do you actually sort of react to the area and create something a little bit fun and
it actually benefits the employer, because if you've got a lovely, balanced environment, you get more out of your staff because they enjoy going to work.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
Is there a design that is your particular favourite from the African countries you've worked in?
I think the house, which was the first project, because I think the learning curve there was so great. And
you learnt very quickly, judging by that design.
Well, it's also, we had to figure out how to build things. And I was doing a project in Switzerland at the same time, and we were pouring concrete, exposed concrete. And there they had, literally no tools, and in Switzerland they had all the tools, all the trucks, etc. And we managed to actually get the quality as good as in Switzerland, but it was very much going on site, trial and error, doing mock-ups, and I thought that, you really, for us as architects, we really learned how to pour concrete or how to be on site and actually, manufacture the thing. So it's sort of the master making of a building is so important, and I think that you can really explore in Africa much more than you can in other places.
Well, your work is absolutely splendid. One day when I'm a bit older, I've got more money, I will commission you to build something for me.
Anything.
But Christina, absolute pleasure talking to you, and please stay in touch with us so that if you have more projects that you'd like to share with us, this is the place to do it.
I'd love to. Thank you very much for inviting us.
Thank you very much, Christina.